Good afternoon. Welcome to the channel, guys. It is a beautiful day here at the Jersey Shore. 80 degrees, sunny, low humidity. It's perfect, all except for the fact I have to fix an issue with Mad Max. So I'm having an issue with Mad Max that most lifted trucks at some point or another will have, which is the ball joint boot leaking out the grease or not sitting correctly, which can be fixed very easily. So here is the driver's side tie rod end boot ball joint. You can see it's leaking and there's no pressure there. Now if I show you guys what the passenger side looks like, you'll see what I'm talking about. So here is the passenger side boot on the tie rod end, and you can see there's sufficient pressure right here. No issue with this boot whatsoever. Perfect pressure. Grease is packed in there nicely. So I've got to fix the other tie rod end. And how do I do that? Well, it's simple. I am going to show you how. So this is the stuff that I recommend for greasing your tie rod ends, upper and lower control arms on heavy duty vehicles. They make a green one, which is extra heavy duty. The red and tacky is really good. It's got a high drop point, which is absolutely phenomenal for these vehicles. Now, you're also going to need a grease gun with a flexible hose, which I have right here. I think this one might be gunked up, and if it doesn't work, I'll have to use the new gun that I bought here in the truck. I just don't want to open it yet until I know for sure. I bought another one right here. This is actually a little bit better of a grease gun, but we'll see what happens. So if you're wondering where the grease points are on the upper control arm, they're right here. Almost every brand, exact same spot. These are OEM, which I am changing out real soon. The tie rods get greased on the top as well. So you have to remove the cap, expose the grease on the container. And what you're gonna do is you're going to place this end down into the grease gun, so that this way, this fitting right here can push up the grease. This end right here gets opened and it gets placed inside the top portion of the gun. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do that. You can see the grease on this end right here. I'm gonna use this to lube some of the chassis. You're gonna go ahead, if you've never done this before, just thread it on the top. So now you press in on the gun, it's gonna give us some pressure against the inside. So now when I try to pump the handle, I can't because grease is gonna come out. You look very carefully, you'll see grease coming out of the end of the gun. So now the gun is primed and ready to grease all the joints on the Duramax. So if I was going to grease the upper control arm, it doesn't matter which one I'm greasing, you gotta clean the nipple and clean around it so you don't get dirt in the way. And once that is done, basically just press this portion onto the nipple and you'll hear a click. There. Now it's on, and when I pump grease into the boot, it's gonna go through the fitting, through the hose, and it's gonna get pumped into the boot, but I don't wanna press too much grease in there or it'll leak. You can see it's already coming back to the nipple. You gotta check it a few times. You wanna be sure to keep these ball joints greased. I would say every 4,000 to 6,000 miles at the most, you wanna re-grease and check. Otherwise you'll have issues. So now I'm going to grease the tie rod and see if I can get pressure back in there so the boot will seat properly. So you can see I greased it about 6 pumps because it was empty until grease starts coming around the cracks here. I'm gonna clean it all up. After going over a few bumps, maybe a little bit more will seep out because I put a little extra in there. Not too much, but a little bit. And once I go over a few bumps, it'll probably leak out just a tad. I'll wipe it a couple of times, and then there's adequate pressure in the boot. You can see right here, I can't get my finger underneath there anymore. There's adequate pressure. I can't even press on the boot anymore. It's so tight. You basically want to have a little bit of give when you press in, just like this, but it's got enough pressure in there to prevent metal to metal contact, which is what you're trying to do. It also keeps rust and corrosion out and other things as well. Keep them, you know, lasting as long as possible. But the thing is before there was negative pressure, so when I pushed up on the boot, it was like the boot was sucked all the way up against the actual inner portion of the tie rod. But by greasing it, you can put the pressure back in. As long as these boots have the appropriate amount of grease in them like this, and you can see the pressure on the boot, you won't have very much of a leak at all unless you hit a massive pothole. So if the boot doesn't have enough grease in there and it's really soft and you can poke it with your finger and lift it up slightly, not as bad as mine, but anywhere close, the grease will leak out 100 times faster. You'll have nothing but issues. With the proper amount of grease in here and pressure and it's cleaned up, hitting a pothole is really the only way you'd lose a little bit of grease. But if you're constantly off-roading, I would say I would check them every 500 to 1,000 miles and fill as necessary. If you're just highway and street daily driving it, I would say every oil change, check it. But as long as you got the right amount of pressure here like this, you'll be good to go. I'm not saying if you have a blown ball joint this is going to fix it, because the more room you have in the upper ball joint area, or the more worn out the components are, the more room there is for grease, and it's hard for grease to maintain pressure when there's a ton of grease and little components inside to hold together. The same goes for a clutch pad or even transmissions in general, or engines. The less metal you have and the more oil trying to fill the gap, the less likely of it working properly. For example, your rod bearings that go in the connecting rods to the crankshaft, you don't want there to be too much of a gap. Think about it like this. The oil pressure that helps lubricate and spin the rod bearings on the rod and, of course, the crankshaft is less than like a third the thickness of a regular piece of paper. If you have too much space, oil can't keep adequate pressure. The more room you have between moving components, the thicker and the heavier the weight of the grease or oil needs to be. Hence, if you've got more room in between your connecting rods and rod bearings and crankshaft, you need to go with a thicker oil, which is why some vehicles require 20 weight, some 30, some 40, and the differentials require 90 weight. The thicker the grease or the oil, the more gap between the moving parts basically is the theory of how things work. And also the thicker the grease, the more durable it is temperature-wise, so just keep that in mind. Something else I want to show you guys, but I'm going to go more into detail in another video, is Meguiar's Ultimate Black. I'm sure you guys have seen plastic on older vehicles, and you'll have like these white, cloudy chalk spots all over the plastic from wear and tear, sun exposure, as well as waxing or buffing the car. This stuff takes it out, and it is wonderful. I'm going to show you guys how it works. It's pretty awesome if you ask me. Things look a lot better once I've used this and wiped everything down good. And I know you guys will love it. On anything that's black or plastic, it'll restore it looking like brand new. So after using Ultimate Black Plastic Restorer, you can see how nice it looks. Absolutely fantastic. It really is a great product. I'm going to show you guys how it works on the cowl and the hood, as I have so many white marks from buffing the paint all over the Allison transmission logo and vent on the hood. It looks pretty bad. I'm going to show you guys how well this works over there. Continuing on, you can see that the black on the hood is really chalky looking, and there's like white specks from wax and dirt and everything, especially here at the front. And I'm going to show you how I can restore that with Meguiar's Ultimate Black Restorer. It's really easy, and you'll see how much better this turns out. So you can see the difference here where I cleaned it up. This is untouched, and this is almost complete. It looks so much better. You can see how much better it looks here versus over here. And I'll show you guys how to fix stuff like this. And on the windshield wipers, it'll restore all of this. So I'm just applying this right here. It'll clean, moisturize, and protect and restore the black plastic. You can see what it looked like before was like that, and now we have this. So it's much, much better. It's also stuff like this. You can see all the white specks on the mirror, which is from wax, all the dirt. Polishing it up makes it look brand new. This stuff is amazing. It works wonders for anything plastic. You can see how nice that looks. Really does protect it too from sun fade and all kinds of different environmental weathering. See how much better the mirror looks, as well as all the black plastic up here. Meguiar's really gets the job done. It's absolutely phenomenal. Instead of replacing the upper third brake light and of course cargo tail bed light with an entire unit with LEDs built in, I'm not going to do that just yet. I have things I want to do first, and you can see they're a yellowish, ugly color. I really don't like it at all. So we're here at Walmart, of course we are, right? That's all we ever do.
Oh, this is our home away from home.
So here's the bulbs that come in a stock Duramax on the third brake light, cargo light. All 4 bulbs are 922s or 912s, 921, same bulbs. All of them are interchangeable. And then here is the LEDs that I'm getting. So you can see these are 921s compatible with the factory 912s. In order to check to make sure they are the same, 12.8 volts, 12.8 volts. So yeah, this uses less wattage, only 1.8 watts versus the 12.5. Looking at these light bars here, it's absolutely insane. My brother was pointing out these right here, the 3-inch spotlights. 1100 lumens is a lot, and I would probably mount these and replace my factory fog lights that have an LED bulb. So this is how bright they are. They're like spotlights.
You can see it on the ceiling.
Yeah, you can even see it on the ceiling, and that is in Walmart, where it's really bright.
Where it's really bright.
Hey Cody, what's going on, bro? What's going on? What are you doing over there? These are really nice. So I figured this would happen. Torrential downpour after washing the truck. Now I got to do this at the car wash because my garage is too small, and I got the proper bulbs. So let's see what happens when I take this apart and replace them with LEDs. Now, all 4 of these bulbs require LED, and I only got 2. I'm gonna basically change the cargo lights first. Thanks to my brother for helping me once again with the truck and getting the LEDs installed. It's still raining. Right here, you can see how much better the LEDs look than the factory ugly yellow lights. Let's get a closer look at them. They're so much better than the factory lights, if you ask me. I absolutely love them. What do you guys think? But that's gonna do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to check out drivewaydemons.com to get your t-shirts, key tags, and hoodies. Support the channel there, drivewaydemons.com. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up and comment below. What do you guys think of today's video? For all my returning subscribers, thanks so much for watching all my videos. Share these videos and the channel with everybody who enjoys cars and trucks. I have a lot of stuff coming. But until the next video, take care and have a great night.